What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to the 817 podcast, where we talk about the lovely city of Fort Worth, Texas. We get into politics, business, culture, news. If it impacts you as a Fort Worthian, we discuss it. We give you one big story, 3 short stories, wins, losses, and actions. And today, at the top of the new year, 2026, we have a special episode with Junior Ezeonu, who is running for House District 101. He is the youngest ever at Gran Prairie City Council, and today still is on the council as Mayor Pro Tem. Junior, welcome to the show.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, and I know you know, Gran Prairie is a part of the 817. A lot of
That's
Fort Worth
right.
may not know that, but there is parts of Gran Prairie that has the 817 area code.
Yeah, so Gran Prairie has a third in Tarrant County, about 2/3 in Dallas County, and then marginal portions in Ellis and Johnson counties. But I grew up my whole life. I've been in Southeast Tarrant County. I grew up in Southeast Arlington, went to Bowie High School, Barnett Junior High, Bryan Elementary,
Wow.
then moved to Gran Prairie at the end of my high school, basically when I was like a junior in high school. But the part of GP I live in, 817 area code. So yeah, that's what we do out here.
Cool. Well, I guess what is your Fort Worth story, your first kind of experience navigating the city?
Wow, that's a great question. Probably goes back to sports. So playing at Bowie High School, we definitely played Pascal. That's back when we had 5A before they moved everybody up to 6A.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah, all the schools. So we played Pascal, we played North Crowley, and just some of the schools in sports.
Yeah.
I played AAU as well. So we would come down for the Cowtown, I forgot what they called it, the Cowtown shootout or something, or showdown. Yeah, but there was a lot of fun back in high school, middle school when it comes to sports in Fort Worth. That's how I learned more about the city of Fort Worth. Because growing up, I was mostly in Arlington, the Grand Prairie, Mansfield area. But I'd visit Dallas, visit Fort Worth from time to time, but wasn't there as frequent.
Yeah. So what is your feelings of where Arlington and Grand Prairie is at in its growth since you've kind of grown up?
Dude, it's transformed. So backtracking, I was born in Nigeria. I moved to the States when I was 2 years old, grew up in Southeast Arlington, and I remember moving here back in 2002. I was born in 99, moved here in 2002, a few days before my 3rd birthday. But I remember living along Southeast Green Oaks and 360 in Arlington, and just it being a lot of fields, a lot of land, a lot of empty space.
That's what used to be all the way between Dallas and Fort Worth.
Exactly.
You were going down 30,
Exactly.
wide open spaces.
But now looking at it over 20 years later, everything has grown. I moved to Gran Prairie back in 2016. This is around the time that the city was getting ready to start some of the projects along the 161 corridor. Everybody talks about how back then, you know, it was just all cornfields and just grass. Now, if you come to GP along 161, you'll see Epic Central, the Epic Rec, Epic Waters, all the restaurants. It's just grown and transformed. And I think, like you said, it's all over the DFW.
Yeah.
Everything's changed. I mean, if you look in Collin County, look at the cities of Frisco and McKinney, 10 years ago, it wasn't nothing there. So all of the cities, Grand Prairie, Arlington, Fort Worth, all the cities across the DFW have seen a lot of growth over the last 10 to 15 years. And that's good, but we got to make sure that our infrastructure is catching up and, keeping up with the growth.
Yeah.
It's one thing to grow, but you have to grow responsibly. So the residents that have lived there for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years also don't feel that they're losing out on the game as all the growth and dollars are coming into your city.
And so one of the things I'm really excited about this episode is we wanted Junior to come onto the episode because he decided to run for city council as 21 years old.
Yeah,
you know,
I started when I was 21, yeah.
You know,
Still in college.
Still in college.
Most people at 21 trying to grow a beard, you know, get muscle. You know, you're like, I'm going to run for office. And so I think why I was so excited to have you on the pod when we connected at the Tarrant Young Dems event, it's the idea of like what Fort Worth and Tarrant County needs is more bold, progressive candidates, and ideally kids from your generation, you know, people from who just sees the potential, sees where we need to go. And so I want to go back, like you're 21 years old. What was that journey of like, okay, I'm going to do this?
Great question. I was in my last year at UTA, you know, Mav up.
Me too.
That's
Grad
right.
school.
Look at that.
I love it. The UTA connection. That's right. So I was at my last year at UTA, and I was doing an internship in DC in the fall of 2020. This is during COVID. I was out there as part of this thing called the Archer Center Fellowship Program. Amazing program that took me to DC, especially during COVID, which was a shocker that we even made it out there, but no one got sick, thank God. And I interned for the CBCF, the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. And one of our last meetings was with Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. So we were able to talk to her and ask her questions. And me being someone that at that point had decided I would run for office one day, I said, can you give me some advice as a kid that wants to run for office one day? She told me, Junior, I'm going to tell you this. Find out what your why is before you decide to run. Find out why you want to run. Don't just go and be a career politician that's not doing it with purpose. Don't be position driven, be purpose driven. I said, wow, okay, I need to figure this out. I didn't figure out what my why is. I know that I want to serve, but why do I want to serve? Yeah. So it took a few months to do some soul searching, and then I remembered the number one thing that always drew me to the Honorable Bernie Sanders, who's the guy that inspired me to run for office back in 2016. I watched that presidential election during the Democratic primary. I just loved him. But something that he really spoke about that touched my heart was healthcare for all, Medicare for all, a universal healthcare system. That's really important to me because my freshman year at Bowie High School, I suffered a traumatic knee injury. Broke my tibia and ruptured my patellar tendon. So your patellar tendon runs from your kneecap to your tibia. So this tendon right here, it got completely ruptured, and I broke my tibia. So I couldn't walk for 3 months. I didn't play basketball for 6 months. Someone landed on my leg at a game, unfortunately. I was blessed to be able to go and have surgery 2 weeks after I had the injury, but it's because I had good health insurance through my parents, right? But I thought about all the other people that don't have health insurance or are underinsured, or just,
right now are looking at skyrocketing premiums.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I said, good Lord, I'm blessed. But there's so many people that aren't blessed. So while I was in high school, I started researching this stuff to see, oh my goodness, 50,000 Americans every year die because they don't have access to health insurance.
Yeah.
50,000 because they don't get the preventative screenings, the checkups, and then they have catastrophic or chronic illnesses later on that they catch at the ER, but it's too late to treat it. So Bernie inspired me on that, and then I thought, that's my why. I want to fight to make healthcare not just affordable, but accessible for everybody. We should have a bare minimum Medicare for all system where everybody's covered regardless of how much money you can make, if you can afford it. It doesn't matter. In the wealthiest nation in the world, we should all have access to healthcare, point blank, period. So that's why I ran for office, period. On a local level, you can't create a Medicare for all
Much have
system.
influence there at city council.
Exactly. But with that service mindset and the mindset to help others, that's why you run for city council and think, oh my goodness, we need to raise the minimum wage here in the city. At the time, Gran Prairie's minimum wage for all city employees was about $10 an hour. I said, no, I got on council within 2 years of me being on council. We raised it to $15 an hour for all part-time city employees, whether you're working at the Parks and Recs, whether you're working at the library, whether you're working at City Hall. Bare minimum $15 an hour. And if you're full-time, the minimum wage is $17.82 an hour. So that was just one thing. We don't have any form of public transit in the city of Gran Prairie. So we worked to get the VIA program because we're not getting into DART because we already given our pennies away for other stuff through our sales tax. But with the VIA Gran Prairie system, takes you anywhere in the city for $3 a ride, as well as to nearby universities and colleges, UTA, TCC, Southeast Campus, DBU, and Mountain View Campus with Dallas College for $3 a ride, as well as other programs in the city. Although I can't do anything regarding healthcare, I can find other things that hurt working class Gran Prairie residents or working class residents in my community and try to make their lives better. And that's kind of like how I got here.
So when you first decided to run for council, I mentioned to you that most people, or a lot of people in this area, go through this kind of process of serving on various boards and commissions, and then they have a resume that they've built up.
Exactly.
And to your point about the first advice you were given, find your why, which you totally did that. But did you run into some of that when you first were running at 21 years of age?
100%. My goodness. Everybody tells you, like you just stated, before you run for office, you run for city council, make sure you have served in regards to on a board or commission, or you've been on the HOA board or the PID board. No. No. If you have...
It is a path. I will say it is a successful path, but it is not required.
It's not the only path.
It's a path, correctly.
Yes.
But like you said, it's not the only path. It's a great path if you have the time and the resources and the energy to go that way.
Yeah.
But if you decide in your heart that you want to serve your community, and you have a purpose, do it.
Yeah.
Run. The worst thing that can happen is that you lose. But in the process of running, you learn so much about yourself, about your community. You meet people, and hopefully you inspire someone else that will run. And even if they win or lose, you're inspiring people to get involved into the political process.
In some way.
Mm-hmm. And that's how I looked at it, because I ran against, I didn't tell you all this, I ran against a 12-year incumbent. He had been there since I was 10 years old. His family built our city. Like, this guy... not a bad person, just very conservative. But his family built our city. And everybody told me I had no chance because I'm a young 21, going on 22-year-old black kid with a strange last name. They said, come on, man.
I did the strange last name thing too.
I think we've all felt it, right? And Gran Prairie at the time hadn't elected an African-American to the council since the early 90s. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, why would I be the one to get elected? But, as fate has it, and as God wills it, that's how I view it, we got on council and have now inspired other people to get involved. We now have 4 African-Americans on the city council. And just a few years ago, we had none. We have 2 Hispanics on the city council, 3 white folks on the council. We have a very diverse city council that reflects the city of Gran Prairie. But yeah, just to echo that point, that is a path, serving on the boards and commissions, serving within the city in some form or some capacity, but it's not the only path.
Well, and it doesn't preclude you from learning about those things and knowing how to serve, having taken another path.
Exactly.
I think the other thing that you pointed out was this incumbent who had been there for 12 years. Mm-hmm. Something that really fires me up is people who serve for too long.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I think that you cease to represent the community that you're in. To your point, there was not diversity on your council.
Exactly.
So do you see yourself as a career politician, or do you see yourself as serving in the moment? And what is your thoughts about that?
Honestly, I love politics, right? This is the path that I've chosen to help and serve and help people's lives be better. I do see myself serving in different roles for quite some time, but I'm not going to be a 70, 80-year-old guy serving because I believe in passing the torch.
Yeah.
I always say bring people with you. That's my biggest thing. Bring people with you. When you run for office, you get elected. Don't be like, all right, I'm the guy. No, bring people with you. I've helped people get elected to the local school boards, the city council, state office, all over the state, because it's to me, it's bigger than just me. You got to bring people with you to have change. Change cannot start and stop with you. It can start with you. You can be the catalyst, but light the fire for other people to make their way too. But something I'm not going to do, and y'all hear me now and quote me later, I'm not going to be serving in a specific office for 20, 30 years all at once. Nah, I got to allow other people to get a chance. I got to allow other people to have their opportunity to serve. And I believe if we mentor and provide the resources and support, anybody can serve at a high level. And the thing is, if I serve for some time, and then you serve for some time, and then you serve for some time, we're all bringing different people to the table.
Yeah.
We're all bringing different groups of people into the political process. And once they get engaged, they don't get disengaged. Yeah. Once you've engaged a community or engaged some folks through you being the candidate, they now care about politics.
Yeah.
I know that because I see the city of Gran Prairie. When I was first running, the African American and Hispanic American communities made up only about 25% of the voter turnout. What is it called? Mm-hmm. Not the voter turnout, but if you have 100% voters, about 25% of them were black and Hispanic. About 60 to 70% were white at the time on the city in regards to city politics. 4 years later, now there's 55% black and Hispanic that make up the electorate. That's the word, the electorate. The electorate. And that's through our engagement. That's through being out there, meeting with the voters, and keeping them engaged every election cycle. Because Gran Prairie is a majority minority city. 70-something% minority. But the city council elections was not reflecting that. And we helped change that through our continuous engagement, but not just being the only one. We helped other people get elected and run for office. That inspired different communities and different people to be like, oh, these elections are happening. Let me also engage and go and vote too.
Well, it sounds also like you don't necessarily just go and find the people who are already voting. Exactly. The way that you've engaged the electorate is to go and find people who are not necessarily voting and therefore haven't been represented in the past.
Mm-hmm. You're 100% right, because we doubled the turnout in my election in 2021 and in 2024 when I ran for re-election.
Yeah, not to gas you up, but you could argue because someone like you running in Gran Prairie is ahead of Arlington and Fort Worth in the sense of actually meeting up to the moment of what the council representation should look like. Yeah. I mean, Gran Prairie, you guys were one council that during the racial gerrymander of Tarrant County, unanimously voted against the racial gerrymander. Yeah. Meanwhile, Fort Worth, which was going to be impacted the most, did a 6-5 split with our mayor choosing to not go along with that. And so I guess through that process, what have you been able to see in the sense of, because Fort Worth and Arlington, I think Arlington's even more ready than Fort Worth, but it's not in the 70% black and brown. But what is some of your advice to cities that are in that evolutionary period of traditional kind of conservative representation. But now this kind of change is happening. If you can look now from 21 to now 26, 5 years.
Crazy, 5 years.
Yeah. What can you now see in that evolution of Gran Prairie, and what would be some of your advices for cities like Arlington and Fort Worth?
I think it's difficult because you got to find leaders that are willing to run and serve, and then once they get elected, to have the courage to be bold. Because many times you get into office and now you're surrounded with all these people that say, "Hey,
that's not how we do it."
Exactly. It's like, hey, I know you're progressive, but look at it like this. Which there's no problem with compromising on certain things, but don't compromise on your values.
Yeah.
Don't compromise on your principles. So I think that's the first thing: finding leaders that are willing to run, get elected, and then serve honorably and serve with that distinction and that courage. That's the biggest thing that's lacking in politics across the board within our party, Democratic Party. You have a lot of folks that don't have the courage, they don't have the backbone and the will to just say, screw this, I'm going to fight for this because my voters are suffering, my constituents are suffering, my residents are suffering if I don't stand up to whatever establishment figures or whatever authority. So that's the first thing. The second thing I think is you have to do continuous engagement. So many elected officials get elected and then just be like, okay, I'm here, I'm good.
Yeah. Wait till the next election cycle.
Exactly. They're not doing things in the off season, which to me, the off season is every day that you're not on the ballot. They're not having community events for the residents to come out to. They're not going and knocking on. I knock on doors for several people, regardless if I'm on the ballot or not, because one, it keeps you really sharp.
Yep.
You stay super sharp knocking on doors, whether you're on the ballot or not. But number three, they're not keeping people informed. Like everything I do in the community, I post it on social media. I send it in a newsletter. I send it emails. I just keep people informed as to what's going on, what I'm doing, and how you can get engaged. Visiting the churches. I hate when politicians just visit the churches, the synagogues, the mosques solely during election time. Throughout the year, go and visit and speak and let them know what's going on in the city. Give people resources, information.
Yeah, we talk about how hard it is to engage people, and then we don't go to where they already are gathered. We expect them to come to the city and to our public meetings, which are boring half the time.
They are very. To us that are doing it, we enjoy it because we're
nerds.
We're nerds. But the average general voter is like, 3 hour, 4 hour meeting where y'all are just droning on and on about different city regulations and zoning requirements. But I want to go back to the thing about going and meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
I've done several seminars with city staff where we go to different churches and religious buildings to educate people on how to do business with the city, how to do procurement with the city, how to bid on contracts, how to get registered to do all this stuff, how to get certified as a minority or SMWB, a small minority women business enterprise. Several of these programs.
Are you still allowed to do that in Gran Prairie?
You can still do it in Gran Prairie, but with Trump being the knucklehead that he is, he's making it a little bit more difficult for us. But we haven't bent and we haven't broken yet.
Yeah.
But several things like that. You need to engage people in different forms and fashions throughout the time you're in office and show them why their vote, why their engagement makes a difference. Mm-hmm. Because people always ask, why should I vote? You should vote because when you vote, you get leaders that raise your wages. Yeah. You get leaders that make sure that your infrastructure is not just up to date, but it's excelling. You get leaders that protect your water, which is another thing that's coming down the pipe right now with all these data centers. Yeah. Oh my goodness, we can spend an hour talking about that. But you get leaders that can affect change for you. But if you don't vote, you get no say in who your leaders are. Yeah. Someone else make that decision for you. Yeah. That's why I always tell folks, if you are not at the table, where you going to end up? On the menu. Yeah. Someone else is going to decide what you get, what you don't get, where this resource goes, where that resource doesn't go, and you never get a say. Yeah. But you live in that community. You pay taxes to that community. You raise your kids in that community. Yeah. But you don't want to vote in that community?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Democratic Party and things that you feel like we don't do or do. Democratic Party is showing some success post the MAGA election, right? Everyone knows New York. You got Virginia. You got New Jersey. We have currently Taylor Remmitt on the ballot.
Let's get it done. 9. Y'all vote. Let's get it done. Y'all vote.
January 21st is early election. So I guess what I would like to know is, what do you see? Because the council, it's not not partisan, but this is your first partisan race as a Democrat. Yeah. What are some things that you're seeing that the party has to get right to get more Generation Z? You're Generation Z, right?
Gen Z, that's right.
getting old. It's crazy. But
You're feeling old. I'm usually the one that feels old.
but it's, so I just love, like, what is it going to take to, one, get Generation Z to see themselves as leaders today?
Yeah.
And how does the Democratic Party leverage that as an asset to create these young, dynamic leaders for our country?
Democrats have to run on policies and then deliver policies. Democrats focus too much in the last, good Lord, it's been like, 11 years since Trump got on the market running for office?
Yeah.
It's crazy. 11 years. Democrats have focused way too much on being anti-Trump. Like, the issue is voters, especially Gen Z, millennial voters, like, what are you going to do for me? We all hate Trump. Nobody that's a Democrat or Democrat adjacent likes Trump. We know that. What are you going to do that's different? What are you going to do to affect and improve my health care? What are you going to do to raise my wages? People don't know this. Since 2009, talking about Texas in particular, inflation has been up 51%. 2009 was the last time that the minimum wage was raised on the federal level, meaning that our dollars are literally being cut in half. Our purchasing power is cut in half because of inflation. What are you going to do to raise my wages? Are we going to put it in a bill again whenever we take power in 2029 and then strip it out at the last second because you couldn't get 5 centrist Democrats from Midwestern states to vote for it? Yeah. What excuse are you going to give me next time? You see, the thing about Trump that we all hate, but the Republicans like, is that he promises something for them and then he does it.
Yeah.
Whether he follows the process or not, he does it. We need leaders that are going to get up in there and have the courage and have the backbone to say, I'm going to fight even if this seems like it's going to be a losing battle. Because whenever you fight, even when it seems like it's a losing battle, you win half of those battles. Think about that.
Yeah.
You're not going to win every battle that you fight in. But even when you fight, you win half of them, at the very least. So Dems have to have the courage when they get up in there to get stuff done, but also let voters know what you care about and be authentic about it. We're seeing this wave, and we talk about this on my podcast, a lot of politicians that, listen to their consultants and the advice of their consultants to, talk like this or dress like that or, put on this fake facade or front. It doesn't work anymore. And Gen Z, millennials, we see through it. Like, dude, that's not who you are. Right now, you're seeing all these politicians that are cursing. They're always cursing on TV and in public. Like, bro, you don't say a cuss word at home. you don't curse at home, but you're cursing over here to seem like you're more genuine. If that's not who you are, don't do it. Yeah. Be true to who you are, because that's what resonates with the voters, especially my generation and especially the millennials, because we don't want to see the cookie cutter politician. It's funny because people ask me, why don't you dress up more on your podcast? I'm like, because it's one of my podcasts, number one. But number two, I like to be relaxed and have fun. Yeah. And I think people see that in my service, and it helps me be more relatable to the general voter or just a regular person that's watching the show or watching me as a council member. I like to have fun. I'm going to wear a suit at City Hall for sure. But outside of that, I'm chilling, because we want this to be welcoming and inviting to everybody. And if the Democratic Party wants to get back on track, be policy oriented. We all despise Trump, but be policy oriented. What are you going to do? Progressive, populist, economic policies. Number two, be authentically you. Don't be somebody that you're not, because we all see through it and it doesn't work. And number three, fight. Have the courage of your convictions. Be true to who you are. If you believe in something, stand on it. Who cares who doesn't like it? Let's talk about that. So many of us on our side want to be liked by everybody. But in politics, you're going to make enemies.
Yeah. Every decision you make, there's going to be people on the other side.
That's right. With every decision, somebody's going to benefit, someone is going to, lose out on it. And that's fine. That's called life.
Yeah.
Life, not everybody can be a winner.
Yeah.
Not everyone can be a winner.
You mentioned you played basketball, and believe it or not, I played basketball as well.
Man, I love it.
Believe it or not.
I was the water guard. I sat right next to the water.
This guy.
But when you look at I look at basketball like politics.
Yeah.
Politics like basketball, right? You go into the court, you got all these random people who are about to play basketball, and what you got to do is like come in and say, "You got 5? Can I be on your team?" Yeah. And then they look at you and they're like, "You don't look good, no." And then you kind of like, okay, and then you either like cry about that or you're like, all right, I got next after next. I got next after next. And you build your team, and you're in a basketball court and you're saying stuff you would never say at a coffee meeting. Yeah. But you're just like, and it's just you're going at it, and then it's over. Yeah. I think politics is like basketball. Like
Yeah.
we got to go at each other.
Yeah.
But then we should be able to like not. I think Fort Worth really has this problem. Once if you picked on me on the basketball court, I hold that to you on church on Sunday,
Yeah.
and at the job the next day, and when we vote on council the next day. And it's just like I think the understanding that this is a game where we have it's a competition, and we have to play it. But that's why I think I resonated with you as your basketball. You said
Well,
the
that
fight.
and also being nice all the time
Yeah.
that precludes you from having necessary conversations.
Yeah.
Because you're just trying to avoid the conflict.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't do the sports analogy, but
Even though she's
Add
like a
something.
foot taller than me.
well, see, everybody thought I should play those tall people sports, and I'm just like, I don't want anybody getting in my way and stopping me from doing what I want to do well.
Yeah,
and
I love it.
Those people on the other side are trying to knock the ball out of my hand.
That's right. But no, I want to talk about your basketball analogy. Great example that while we're on the court, we're going to talk all the ish that we can.
Yeah.
Because we're competitors.
Yeah.
We're competitors, but after we get done, we dap
exactly.
each other up and keep it moving. In politics, I tell people you have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, solely permanent interests. But I'm still cool with you though. I have no problem with you. This is a game. It's a game that impacts the lives of millions of people.
Yeah.
But it's still a game, and we're competing, and we're trying to advance our interests and get things done for our communities. So there are several people, regarding this race. I'm in a Democratic primary. I'm challenging a long-term incumbent. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's a decent guy. But it's time for change. And there's people in here that are taking it very personal. Different folks that are in our, Democratic community in North Texas. And I tell them like this: if you believe in democracy, you should support primaries. If you believe in democracy, you should support primaries. What is a primary? You're giving the voters an opportunity to decide amongst different candidates. Every race I've run in has been competitive. When I ran for re-election last year in 2 years now, in 2024. Had two people run against me. Did I tell them, no, don't run against me?
No, never, ever did I tell anyone not to run against me. I had people threaten to. I had people file. In the end, I only had one person actually follow through with that. But you never tell somebody not to run.
Exactly, because in a democracy, people should have the right to run. And after we're done with the election, we shake hands, go about our business. That's it.
Yep.
And we support each other. That's how it's supposed to be. That's fine. It's called a democracy, right? So I always tell people, don't take any of this stuff personal. I have folks that have supported me my whole political career, but aren't supporting me in this race because of who I'm running against. I tell them, that is fine. You have the right to do that. You know why? Because you're an American citizen. You have freedom of choice. Go vote for who you want to vote for. But just know that I'll need your support in the general. So, that's how I look at it. We can't take all these things personal. We have to understand that this is a process. And after we're done with the process, we all shake hands, we kiss, and we make up.
I have a question. So with all the great things that you're doing on the Gran Prairie City Council, why run for a different office? Why now? What are you hoping to do with it?
No, it's a great question. Man, leaving the council is going to be it's bittersweet for me because I've loved being on council. Like being on council to me, it's a fun job. It's a very fun job. You're able to impact people very directly, immediately for many issues. And some issues take longer because of bureaucracy. But it's very bittersweet. I decided a long time ago in my brain that I would run for state rep around this time. And the reason, as we got closer, it became even more imperative for me to do it. In Texas, we are seeing, for whatever reason, us moving backwards at a great rate. Every election cycle, we're not even picking up seats anymore. And every election cycle, we're doing worse and worse. In 2018, we thought that we had hit the other side of the bell curve and that we were moving in the right direction. Since 2018, we've just been moving backwards. We've gotten close here and there, especially in 2020 with the legislative elections. But since 2020, we haven't done anything because of redistricting and gerrymandering. I believe I can be a spark, a progressive, populist, democratic spark in the state legislature. I look at what I've done on the city council in Gran Prairie, changing the dynamics of our city council. I look at what I've done to help our candidates in Mansfield ISD. Y'all know about the Patriot Mobile crazy people.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
They
do.
came into all of the Tarrant County school board races back in 2022. They beat us that year. They did. But since then, we flipped 5 seats on the MISD school board. We now have a minority majority, progressive majority school board in MISD with our first ever African-American woman school board president. I've trained many of the candidates that have run for school board there. as well as endorsed and helped them in those races. I want to do the same thing on the state level. Because I'm going to tell you this, by 2030, we're going to flip the state house and we're going to win the governorship. And what's that going to give us? The opportunity when it comes to 2031, when we deal with reapportionment and redistricting, with the new census numbers that come in, to create fair maps.
Yeah, maps at the regular time that we are supposed to be doing them.
Exactly. Because Republicans, they'll have the state Senate more than likely. We get the state House and the governorship. We get to drive the car in deciding what happens there, and they have to work with us. So that's why I believe that now, starting today, well, starting last year really, but right now we have the opportunity. We win this race. We help 5, 6, 7 other people get elected across the DFW and the state of Texas by providing real tangible support. I think Democrats don't think big enough. Democrats accept the R+8s and R+7s and R+9s as being unwinnable. I've seen people win R+9s. Taylor's about to win a R+15?
Yeah.
So it's winnable. It's viable if you run good candidates with proper support. Support them.
Yep.
Not just with the money. Be on the ground. Talk to the voters. Meet the voters where they are. And run on progressive populist economics. Progressive economics are supported by most voters everywhere. If you go into a Republican city in Montana or Wyoming, 80% of them support universal health care. If you call it, Obamacare or Bernie care, they'd be like, no, I don't like Bernie. But then when they hear about the policy and the principles of the policy and the what comes with it, they're like, I would love that.
Sounds good.
And that's how you sell it on the policies. Now, I'm telling you this year we're going to flip about 5 seats in the state legislature. I'm going to work, by the grace of God, I get elected. I'm going to work with all these candidates and help them get elected. And then next year we're going to flip another 4 or 5. And then by 2030, we need to flip, I think, 13 seats to take the state house. We can do it.
Yeah.
And we have to do it. Because what's going to happen in 2031? We're going to pick up probably 3 or 4 electoral votes and 3 or 4 congressional districts because of all the folks that have moved down here from California, Illinois, Pennsylvania, and New York. So a lot of these Democratic states are losing electoral votes. We got to make sure we draw some fair maps if we're going to have, one, the additional congressional districts, but number 2, we're going to be the ones that are deciding who's going to be the president for the next 20, 30 years. Whoever wins Texas going forward is going to have, it's going to be very difficult to win the presidency without winning Texas if you're not sweeping the other parts of the Sun Belt, like states like North Carolina, Georgia, Florida looks like it's gone, but states like that. So it's really important that we win control of the state house by 2030 and win that governor's mansion by 2030. We have to.
Well, I think this is a great ending to the interview. We look forward to your success.
Thank you.
Any kind of last things you would like the listeners to know?
Well, for the listeners, I just want to say, continue to support these great people. This is not easy. This is not easy, what they're doing, the consistency that they're doing this on, the quality that's invested. I know this because I've started mine and I'm slowly growing. Please support them because they're giving people that are progressive, that have the right mindset and have the heart to serve and the heart to provide positive benefits to our community and opportunities to come and speak. We're having candid conversations. So I just ask you support them. Great folks in our community out here in Fort Worth and Tarrant County, in the best county in the state, Tarrant County. Although our government's not the best, but we're going to change that, at least a sentence. But just please continue to support them. And in my race, if you can support me as well, I'm running for Texas House District 101, which covers portions of Arlington, Gran Prairie, and Mansfield. You can find me on social media, on Twitter, Instagram at callmejre, or just type in Junior Ezeonu. You can go on Facebook, find me at Junior Ezeonu, or just Google me. You'll find me at Junior Ezeonu. But just thank you for the opportunity, guys, to be here. It's been truly a big blessing for me. And I love talking to my folks and having real honest conversations with honest dialogue and finding ways that we can work together and move our county forward, because wherever Tarrant County goes, the state goes. Somebody told me the other day, and I'll wrap up on this, that Tarrant County is the Pennsylvania of Texas.
Who might that have been? I thought EJ's been saying that.
Somebody told me that the other day, that Tarrant County is the Pennsylvania of Texas. I don't know who said it, but somebody told me that the other day. So whichever way our county goes, the state's going to go. And we got to keep working on it. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. Yep. And let's keep working. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
So there you have it. That was Junior Ezeonu running for House District 101 and was a Gran Prairie City Council. I guess he's going to have to be leaving that seat this year for his run. But man, I can't believe it. Like, what a story the more I got to hear about it. 21 running, 22 getting on council, and then looking at the progressive shift of Gran Prairie. I mean, that's a pretty cool
he's
story.
gotten a whole lot done over there.
Yeah.
And someone that young running for office. I think when Wesley first suggested what we title this episode about young people running for office, I started thinking about all of the candidates across the country who have done this.
Yeah.
But not knowing really that there was someone in our own backyard who had done that. So, to my whole push now to get younger people to run for office, people of color to run for office, and not have to run for office myself, I'm very encouraged to see that that's the trend that appears to be happening.
Yeah. Well, I know you were hanging out with your kids this holidays. Would they run for office?
Oh, I don't know. That's interesting. My youngest has expressed interest in politics.
Come on now.
They watched what I went through too as well. So I don't know.
I would love a podcast where I just get to interview your kids and you can't be here. And it's just us and me and them too.
We should probably set that up.
Yeah.
We talked about maybe doing a retreat in Sacramento.
Oh, there you go.
And taking the podcast out there. Whether or not I would allow you to just question them, not in my presence. They're adults. They can make their own choices. It's not like I have control over this, but feel free to talk to them. I'm always really impressed with my kids when they talk to people, other adults in my life.
Yeah.
My oldest is looking at a new job, and has an interview coming up, and someone that I went to high school with is in the same field, and so they connected while we were out there and had a conversation, and she went on and on about how proud I must be. So
I know nothing about your kids, but my perception of your youngest is that has a high bar of liking people, and so that means they don't like a lot of people, and so if I could go in and get them and I could close the door and she tells you, I really like EJ. I'm like, yeah, win. That's the kind of person.
That is a high bar.
Yes, exactly. I love those kind of people.
I think they would.
Yes.
So.
I love those kind of people. Wesley, what you do for the holidays?
Just work on the house, trying to get ready for the baby.
Nice.
Nonstop. My back is killing me, but making progress.
Nice. All I did is watch your TikToks you sent me about AI, data centers, and robots, and I might be convinced we need to fight back the robots.
It's working.
Yes,
I think we at least need to have an honest conversation about what this is doing to our environment.
Yes.
So
and our behaviors as humans and how we connect.
Yes, that's the thing I've been trying to convince EJ on is the environmental threat is real and easy to see. The existential threat is much more dangerous.
And I also got for Christmas, I bought it myself as a VR headset. So I've been living in a VR headset for like 6 hours a day.
Well, you can connect with my youngest that way.
Yes, nice. And I showed up to a meeting with Alex, and others of the 817 Gather, and I had my VR headset on in Discord, and I had my computer on. I was computering. They're like, "What are you doing?"
EJ is becoming a computer.
Yeah,
Yes.
he really wants to live in a cyberpunk future.
But it was really cool. But I watched the Dave Chappelle comedy in my VR while smoking a cigar outside in theater mode. It was kind of cool.
hell?
And then the kids who were playing in the backyard behind were like,
What is that
Yeah,
guy doing
that
over
is
there?
Bizarre behavior.
We watched the Bo Burnham special that he did
nice.
over
I like Bo Burnham.
over the pandemic.
Yeah.
So
My
cool.
oldest described it to me as like the mindset of people of his generation, and which that disturbed me a little bit. I was like, honey, are you okay?
Yeah. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, I know our holidays special was not a short story, but good to spend time talking to you guys. I missed you guys. It felt forever.
I know.
I was looking out my curtain, like that sad GIF where it's like raining, and I'm just waiting for you guys to come back.
Except for it was raining where I went in California,
Yeah.
and I heard you all had fabulous
We had
weather.
fabulous
the
weather.
whole time I
Still.
was gone. The day I left, it was 80 degrees. That
Yeah.
was the hottest December 20th on record,
Well,
apparently.
What's crazy about it, I don't know if you still want to live in Texas and where that's going because, your kids are in Sacramento and you are from
I
California.
still want to live in Texas.
But who also is potentially moving out to California? Mercy Culture.
Oh, yes,
And that's
that
short
is
story
short
number
story.
one.
No,
number
no,
one.
not moving, expanding. That's
Expanding.
Yes.
that's the
Yeah, if they
dangerous
were
part.
moving,
I guess
that
you're
would be a
expanding
whole
too.
nother story.
You're
I'm
expanding.
expanding too.
Yes, there you go. You're expanding. We're gonna do our next episode in front of their Sacramento church, wherever it is. You know, when
They're
they
not
move
going
there.
to Sacramento.
Yeah, where are they
No.
going?
I think it's Southern California. Orange County. Orange County.
Yep.
Orange County is very MAGA though.
Yes.
Like that is like
It's the conservative stronghold for sure.
that's like Florida in California.
It's like when people complain about Californians coming to Texas and that it's going to liberalize Texas. Those are not the Californians that are coming to Texas.
Yep.
So yes, short story number 1 is an article, Fort Worth Mercy Culture announces expansion of new churches in D.C. and California. So the California one is in Orange County, as we said. The D.C. one is across the street from the Supreme Court so that they can pray over decisions of the future.
That is like so like powerful to somehow I don't like, and it also makes me think about like what Donald Trump is currently doing. And if we remember, Nate Scatzline is now on his Faith Advisory Council,
Right.
which is a huge upgrade for that man.
Yeah.
Man, be a mediocre politician and lead to that moment. But now it all makes sense that mercy culture is like across from the Supreme Court. You look at Trump making DC look like this dangerous place. He's really obsessed with making DC look like this dangerous place. And I think he understands, because Republicans do that. They did it with school boards. They understand how to hijack spaces. No move is just a move. And Christian nationalists have used churches, mega churches, as their style shell companies, if you would, to their radical ideologies. And nothing more better than put these bad boys in 2 blue states where maybe they think, or one, you know, DC and then a blue state. But what is your thoughts when you saw this article, Wesley?
Bummed. Just, I would prefer mercy culture not be in Fort Worth, preferably not, you know, be a breeding ground for Christian nationalism, but to see them across from the Supreme Court and like being able to expand their lobbying efforts, it's very disappointing and I don't like it.
I mean, if you also remember, I don't know if we did a whole short story about it, but they also created an online training academy for politicians.
Right.
Exactly.
And so for like $100, you can pay for a course on how to run for office with a faith-based Christian nationalist kind of ideology.
At this point, I don't understand how they can still claim to be a church. It's just a political entity. That's all that they seem to function as anymore.
My belief, though, when I look at, I don't know, I look at the mercy culture saga in Fort Worth over this year. We're a year from them going into Oakhurst and city council demanding, you know, that center that they wanted. I think it's like, when I look at Fort Worth, I think mercy culture looks at their situation in Fort Worth and they realize they're actually more focused on Tarrant County. And the reason why the Fort Worth establishment has power in Fort Worth is because it's really the only bone that will still work in a place that's about to be, you know, if you're about to be more progressive, being more right isn't going to restore or reclaim power. So when you look at the establishment Fort Worth, it feels like the agreement is you can have Fort Worth, but we're going to eat the Tarrant GOP. We're going to eat Tarrant County with Judge Tim O'Hare and beat your candidates. We're going to beat Leo Wamsgans going to beat your candidates. And that's like, they're a part of the national ecosystem. But when you really get into Fort Worth, I'm not convinced mercy culture is going to be able to move the needle, because there'll be damaged goods to whoever.
Well, they tried pretty
stamps them.
unsuccessfully in 2021 because they had council candidates and a mayoral candidate in that race, and none of them won.
Yeah.
So, and I think one of the candidate that ran for mayor back in 2021 is heading up this effort in DC. So I think they're
Yikes.
still working.
Steve Panate?
Yeah.
That guy's crazy.
Yeah, he is.
He's the one that did the tour of the place. I don't think he's the one who's going to be planted there. But.
Well, I feel like it's good for Fort Worth. Mercy's culture is doing this. It's bad for the country.
What?
What?
It's good for Fort Worth that mercy culture is doing this.
I think, is your point that it helps the progressives stand up more?
All right.
Here?
Well, it's because what I'm saying is that I think mercy culture is changing its agenda, and it's not localized anymore. It's national.
That their energy
They're
is going to
taking
be
their energy
spread.
and focus off of Fort Worth specifically because they we're not successful in
and they realize
inroads
it's
there.
not there's not a way to infiltrate Fort Worth.
I don't know that them focusing nationally is better. It is if they fail as bad as they failed in Fort Worth, but
And which I think they will.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would rather they not try.
Yeah.
Yikes. Okay.
Well, I'd be interested in y'all's takes on the comments of what we just talked about. It's like, the impact Mercy Culture will have on national news. I mean, I think you could also argue that Mercy Culture sees the opportunity of what, let's say they're trying to make their own turning point, and Nate Scatsline thinks he's the next Charlie Kirk. And I think and if you see the splintering in the Republican Party, we used to say, Republicans are a monolith. The amount of infighting right now is actually some good drama tea.
Well, they're clearly attaching themselves to Trump because they're, on his committee and showing up for, his press conferences with the religious people that he's brought together. And you're seeing people who have attached themselves to Trump failing.
Yeah.
So hopefully that follows in that same footsteps.
Yeah, they get left in the dust. He
throws
them under the bus first chance he gets.
This kind of to close this gap. I'm actually probably going to bring up more tea, but it's my Christmas. I went home to Wichita Falls, Burke Burnett, Texas. Went home, saw my stepbrother who I haven't seen since his older brother got married. I was the not minister, officiant, Father E in another life, by the way, if you need someone to officiate your wedding. But
you've gotten ordained online. Is
exactly.
You can start your own church.
Yeah. Father E.
Don't give him ideas.
but I haven't seen him since then. But I saw it has been years. I'm like, hey man, what's up? What are you up to? He's like, oh, work in politics. I'm like, oh, politics, that's exciting. What are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm a groiper. And I was like,
Oh boy.
For those of you who don't know what a groiper is, I learned more that these were real things. I thought that was like a fake thing, but groipers are people who follow Nick Fuentes, the Christian extremist, probably the farthest right kind of stuff out there. And so anyways, long story short is I still like, okay, I got to, when in the chance am I going to hang out with a 25-year-old Latino who's a groiper, and I got to learn and hear. And so we went outside, had cigars, and it was actually one of the most productive conversations I've ever had, because usually I end up people pissed off at me and we end up like holding hands and leaving, saying hey, I love you, goodbye, have a good day. But anyways, your horseshoe effect was we agreed on three things. F billionaires, healthcare for all, which even though it's cool, Junior talked about like that was something that's common with Republicans, and anti-Israel. Those were the three things. But there was a lot of things that were very sad in the middle, but that's for another time. So my whole point of that is Mercy Culture is attaching to Trump, but you see some of the wings now deciding what's next after Trump.
Right.
And so there's a lot of, it's not just Democrats and progressives figuring out who they are. They're doing the same thing, which you have MAGA declining, the guy who is supposed to be kind of maybe this next arc of hope, that incident, changing that. Now everyone's in a pivot frenzy. And, I guess Mercy Culture is throwing their hat into the arena of maybe it's our moment to go national. That was some good dark internet analysis we just did on the 817 pod. So let's go ahead and move it back into the short story 2. Guys, it's been a while, so if you feel like what the hell's going on here, it's a little rusty. I just realized, we've grown over 2 weeks.
Well, we came back after being gone for so long thinking we'd have to make up on a lot of news, but thankfully it was a little slow news over the holidays maybe.
Yeah, I saw Dave Moreno at the we go to the same grocery store, and I saw him, and he was like, yeah, we got like 10 days off. I'm like, man.
They just reposted old stories.
I was like, Ann did too. I was like, wow. I was sitting here, it's like, everybody's off, I guess I make videos by myself. But anyways, we do have short story 2 is a classic 817 pod discussion, because we talk about dusty articles that just say a lot of things, and this is one of them. City Manager Fort Worth economic growth continues to look strong. This was a very clear, if you're reading this and you know nothing about politics, you're like, wow, like Jay Chop is doing great. This was a come out article for him. This is probably the best article written about his tenure as city manager. Yes, it was at a real estate, the Society of Commercial Realtors of Greater Fort Worth Association panel, but in Rivercrest Country Club. But it really positioned him and the growth of Fort Worth and all the booming potential we have. What was y'all's take reading this article, knowing that this is classic Fort Worth, but then also there's some truth in here, but then what's also some concerns.
I mean, I think that it talks a lot about the growth and the economic development that is coming here because of the growth. And I think that is all can be positive.
Yes.
I was excited about the article, the portion of the article that talks about the Evans and Rosedale Renaissance and the growth of that, and that finally coming to fruition after a long time and a lot of pivoting and changing and different developers being brought in. But I think that will be a positive thing in the long run. It also brought up Panther Island, that's finally going to happen. There is, Wesley's over there making air quotes just in case you're listening and not watching.
Me and Wesley will be like 75.
Yep.
When it opens.
Well, then I'll be dead.
Wow. What we'll do, whatever happens, if you're not here when Panther Island is created.
You'll make sure there's public transportation.
Yes. We will actually make sure, like, wherever me and Wesley's 6 kids are at that time, we will hold hands. We'll be old. We'll hold an Anzeta sign. Maybe convince them to turn one of the streets or
Don't name a
that
street
say-
after me.
Okay, we'll figure something out. And we'll pour one out in the river saying, hey,
There you go.
to Ann.
Kombucha.
And we'll have some kombucha and we'll sip it. All right, go ahead. Go back to it, though.
Yeah.
Panther Island, and then what else? The part that, if you had, I was like, I saw the Taiwan-based manufacturer of components used in NVIDIA computers. This is something, if you look at the maps of where data centers are coming, Dallas-Fort Worth is a seismic area of that.
Well, it seems like we got a big ring of warehouses around us, and now we're getting a big ring of data centers around
Yeah.
us. I wasn't thrilled with the warehousey stuff because it brings kind of low-paying jobs. And, I mean, literally, if you look at DFW from the air, if you look at Fort Worth from the air, it does, or if you drive out of Fort Worth in any direction, you run into this kind of ring of warehouse development, which is not mixed-use walkable by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
So clearly not the type of development that I love to see.
Yeah.
The data centers, I think at the last council meeting where they approved some expansion of a proposed data center, several council members brought up the concern of resources, environmental impact on development, that sort of thing. So I think they are asking the right questions, but whether or not all of these applications for this type of zoning are going to come in and people are going to get shiny object distracted at potential jobs and not think about all of the impacts, that is the concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thing, anytime this comes up, I think about how for basically my entire life, Fort Worth has been seen as one of the fastest growing cities in the country. And we haven't really done a lot to make that happen. It's just sort of been slightly accidental. And to me, it's always disappointing because we think, oh, well, we don't have to try. We don't have to make the city better. People will just keep coming. And I see this a lot in cities that start to notice a decline is they're like, oh, well, we need to invest in making the city better. We need to invest in arts, transit, parks, schools, things that make the city more livable. And then that's the goal. That will help attract people to the city. And because we haven't had to do any of that, we don't prioritize all those things that make the city livable. We just give tax breaks to corporations. We give just zoning for whatever data center wants to move here. And we're like, yes, growth, this is good. And I'm like, no. What kind of growth? How fast? Where is it going? You can't just brag about these numbers in a vacuum. You have to consider what is the whole picture and how does this impact the city and what it's like to actually exist here.
Yeah.
The challenge is that we have a comprehensive plan that is being updated at the moment. And if it was updated, we could be proactive and determine where this growth happens and how it happens and what the mix is and where people live and how they get around. But we're in the process of updating it now while all this growth is flying at us at a pretty fast clip. And so we react to try to minimize the detrimental impacts of fast growth without a plan. Mm-hmm. And so while I'm glad the city is doing an update to the plan, there's other steps that need to happen beyond that because right now we're working off of antiquated zoning as well. And so some of these zoning questions are not being based on kind of the best and brightest of ideas. Mm-hmm. I've been really impressed lately. I've been in my feed a lot of education from Santa Fe where they're doing an update to their comprehensive plan and are doing zoning reform, and they're educating people as to why this is important and why they should be speaking up. And the city of Fort Worth is sharing surveys and asking questions about what people want to see for the long run of the city, but they could increase their education and understanding so that they're not just responding to the NIMBY response of just saying no to things, but actually educating people as to what is beneficial about a mixed-use walkable place that you can live, work, and play.
Another part that I want to highlight on here is it also talked about the defense companies. Bell, a TEXRail subsidiary, announced it was retrofitting and expanding an existing Alliance plant to house manufacturing operations. It talked about expected to create 520 full-time jobs with an average salary of $85,000 by the end of 2039. $85,000 is going to be $45,000 in 2039. But the point I really want to say is Fort Worth also has its issues with the military industrial complex, and we just, woke up this weekend to us invading Venezuela. You're looking at how much money Texas gives to Israel. You're looking how much the war complex of America is. You can argue we're the heart. We're the heart of that system in America. And so when I think about what can make Fort Worth not become a progressive city in 2027, when you have mercy culture plus the military industrial complex, we're fighting a lot of powerful entities within our city that doesn't want us to have the questions and conversations you guys were just having about the city, its tax rates, its where things are placed. And then when you also have Alliance and DFW Airport, the second largest airport in the world, what they will most likely forget is the people who have to live here because their power is built here. And at the end of the day, Fort Worth is a power plant to the capitalistic society of this country. And that's what we ultimately have to be.
And I think the question always comes back to, are we doing things for the good of the residents of this community, or are we doing it for some outside entity? And so this has come up with the conversation about World Cup coming here and how we're going to need a robust transit system to get people around for World Cup. But my whole idea is anything that we do, I hope it's not. We have transit agencies that know how to do this. We just need to have policymakers and politicians who are willing to pay to have the system that is necessary and then keep that system around for those of us who live here all the time. So it's not just something we flare up for when a million people, bazillions of people are coming in from other countries in order to enjoy a soccer game.
And then I just think of ICE and all the stuff and what that does. Yes, the traffic. It's just a lot of things going on. It's like, this is not how you want people to show up to America for World Cup. Can we wait 4 years and do it again in 4 years? Because, gosh, I just think the aura of America is just not exciting. It's like having a messy house and people
are
over. Exactly. All right. So short story number 3 is we actually have someone running for District 10 City Council.
It hasn't been super competitive up in that far north part of Fort Worth for an area that has a lot of complaints about the city not serving them well. District 4, District 10, and District 11. 11's a little bit different, but Districts 4 and 10 have not
been... You
can
argue District 7, too.
Exactly, that too. Because the part of that goes very far north as well.
And no competition.
But there hasn't been a whole lot of competition for those seats. I mean, in the last couple of elections, 7 hasn't had an opponent at all. And there's a little bit of shuffling that's gone on between 4 and 10 because of where people lived. So people who were in those seats got redistricted out when 10 was created. And then when the announcement came that Blaylock was not going to run again for that seat, we were all kind of waiting to hear if somebody was going to run. And so, like I said, for an area that has a lot of complaints about how they're managed and, they think they don't have enough infrastructure and roads, and they complain about not getting a bigger piece of the pie and all the growth that's happening up in that area, you'd think there'd be people waiting to step up and run.
Especially because I believe 10 is Alliance. Yeah, so you would feel that there would be some young professionals or some business technocrats that they want to get their data centers in.
But getting back to the person who has actually stepped up at this point,
Yeah.
this is someone that I know personally because she served as a district director for Kerry Moon when he was in office and I was serving on the city council. And I also know her husband because he was on the zoning commission with me. So I have not had conversations with either of them about this announcement. And when I first saw that she was announcing that she was going to run, I was not surprised. I think they've both been very involved in their neighborhoods and their communities. But I'm not familiar with their politics so much if we're asking questions about that. But
and their
Alicia
name is,
Ortiz
there you go.
is who has announced that she is running, and she has a website. And she definitely ran the District 4 office when she worked for Kerry Moon as a district director in a very responsive and community-driven way. So I think that she has that going for her.
She's a KISD ambassador. She lives in Keller, I believe, in that kind of area, or at least had some time there at some capacity in her life. Based off of looking at her nearly 20-year history rooted in Fort Worth, she served as a Texas Health Community Advisory Board member, the CEIC committee member, Little Free Library steward, Blue Zone Blueprint advisory member, chair of the Heritage Land Use Committee, and Crime Watch captain. I mean, off rip, positive. Got a Latina running. I like, the idea of, off rip, you got a Latina running. But this Kerry Moon thing, I give Michael Crane a hard time. He was the director to Brian Bird.
Well, we talked a little bit with our guest about a path to running for office and whether that requires experience in the city or serving on boards or commissions. And to that point, there's no one path that everybody has to take.
Yeah. But you could have been like someone who was aligned valued, still for that role. But what do you got for us?
Yeah, well, going back to what Ann was saying about not knowing her politics, I was looking up her voter history, and it's a little weird. So I could see she voted in Democratic primaries up until 2018, and then in 2022 and 24 voted in Republican primaries. And I do know that sometimes Democrats will vote in Republican primaries just to help the least worst candidate get ahead.
Yep.
But I don't know that that's what happened. I don't know if she switched parties. I don't know. Just looking at her history, it's hard to tell where she lands.
Yeah.
Well, and even back when I was in office, when we weren't focused so much on the partisanness of city council races, that was a question that was always brought up. I mean, even when districts 10 and 11 were brought up, people's voting history was a question that people had. So it's a valid question.
Yep.
And Alicia Ortiz, and or anyone who knows her, I mean, heck, and you might have it
her.
on your cell phone. You're welcome to come on to the 817 podcast and us get to learn about you. I'm also high-key saying that we are still needing some people to run for District 10. Because like Junior Ezeonu said, the more people we get out to vote and run, that will allow us to see what kind of leaders and visionaries our residents really want.
And hopefully when people run and don't win, they continue to serve in other capacities. And then you have a more engaged electorate that are working for the betterment of the entire community.
But you brought up a good point about how they get so worked up, how they have no representation. There's not a lot of access, but then no one's running for office in District 10. You had the same thing with Charlie Lauersdorf in District 4. He just kind of slid in, and like just showed up and got the election. And so when you talk about these like North Fort Worth, plus 60% of Fort Worth lives outside of the 820 loop. So the majority of our residents are out here and they're not acting to take city council seats. I don't know. I'm just I just feel like there's so much fascination about what is the outer loop of Fort Worth really all about.
What's its identity?
And
what's its community? What brings it together?
I think that's a big part of why it's so hard to see candidates in District 10 is because all of Alliance is within District 10. And like every time I ask someone who lives up there, like, oh, where do you live? They never say Fort Worth and then I have to ask the neighborhood. No, they start by saying Alliance as if they think the city that they live in is Alliance.
Well, they marketed it that way.
Exactly.
Alliance marketed themselves that way. They call themselves Alliance, Texas, as if they are a city.
And I'm pro that, by
of
the way.
them themselves. And Walsh is doing the same thing in far west Fort Worth, which drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But that's because I'm a proud Fort Worthian.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't want them to like. But, it's like 20 minutes to get up there. It's like, is it really? It's like
sometimes
the same.
it's 20 minutes to get to Northside from my house.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you look on a map and you look at Dallas, Fort Worth, it's like Plano, Alliance. But this is like still voting for the city, where Plano is it's actually own city. It had 3,000 people show up for no Kings.
Yeah.
So it's like, in a way, like I feel like I would feel better if Fort Worth did separate some, because then we truly are more like an Albuquerque, New Mexico than a real big city.
I mean,
and
I think
allow us to get back to our reality.
a lot of the issue with this, what is the community, is the development pattern that has occurred in the far north Fort Worth.
Yeah.
It's those subdivisions that have the curvilinear streets that are walled off, that they're not walkable to any places, third spaces where people come together. People drive in their cars, into their garages, into their homes. And I know within those communities, they have community because they have, amenity centers that have pools and that sort of thing. But it's not the same as a traditional older neighborhood that has the mix of things that people kind of come together in organic ways.
It's busy up there.
Yeah.
Yep. I have to go there to go to Wichita Falls, and I last minute bought a Secret Santa at Best Buy in far North Texas.
Is it hard to get in and out of that
Yeah.
that commercial development? Because
of
I
course.
missed the exit to Wichita Falls one time and had
Yeah.
to go into Alliance Town Center area and turn around, and I could not get out of that commercial shopping center because there were so many cars going to the movie theater.
Yeah. I ended up at, it was supposed to be a Best Buy, and 3 hours later I'm buying, liquor at Total Wines, because it was that
It's all
bad. It
there.
was so bad to get out of parking. I had to buy hard alcohol to solve the problem.
Yeah.
But the one value she has on her website, Alicia Ortiz, is safety. All residents of Fort Worth need to live, work in a safe city. I ensure that all fire police departments have the resources they need. That's really the only policy I see on here today. It looks like the website's still being worked on, but maybe the text is actually maybe being created as we speak. But that's the only one policy I see in here. But I also my fear also with someone who has city skills running for council, the culture thinking that creates is also very dangerous. We see that fail us time and time again.
Yeah.
On up there on the dais. I mean, Maddie Parker, staffer, Jeanette Martinez, county staffer. Like these staffers.
So you're saying that Fort Worth way mindset might be.
Yeah, I just don't, I'm not fully convinced that that's the way to build the transformational leadership we need in Fort Worth.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least we have one person running so far. But if you care about fixing transit in District 10, if you care about getting amenities and you want progressive policies, reach out to us.
If you just saw Junior Ezeonu speak about it, in Yours Inspired,
Yep.
Maybe he was talking to you.
Yep. District 10, come out.
Awesome. Well, let's move to wins, losses, and actions.
So we couldn't go an episode without speaking about transit. We've already spoken a little bit about it, but one of our wins this week is that TEXRail expansion is moving forward with a revised contract. And so the station that will be behind Baylor Hospital in Mistletoe Heights area will be completed. And then we can all start working for the one that's down by TCU so we can get that train closer to my house.
Yep. I'm very excited about that because one thing I've learned at the transit mixers that Community Design Fort Worth hosts is Trinity Metro has a plan for TEXRail to go all the way down to Cleburne. They have a lot of the land to just keep adding more stations down the line. But we just got to get it past downtown. So this is a big step in the right direction for a good long-term plan to help connect more places.
What is our take though on the one thing about Mistletoe Heights? I'm just saying this. Is why the affluent areas get railed.
The medical center. That's the point. Is that they want to connect the medical district to.
Well, it's a historic neighborhood in close proximity to downtown where the rail already exists. So we're not going to leapfrog over a place that is the next logical place to put a station. Then we just have to keep going to get the one that's the next step out.
Make sure
and the next step
my
out.
responsibility on this pod is just making sure
Want to play
that
devil's advocate.
that we're not just because then the next one's at TCU and the next one's at then. It's like, holy shit, why does all the rich people get rail?
Well, the next one's Granbury Road and right outside Loop 820. So I think
Yeah. So we're good. Just make sure.
If Arlington wanted to play nice with transit, we could get some transit going through East
That's
Fort
who we
Worth.
should blame. That's who we should blame.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Arlington, look at you. Now the east of Fort Worth is stuck.
You're perfectly positioned to have perfect transit, and we're all annoyed.
Now
that-
Mistletoe Heights can now get to the airport faster than East Fort Worth because they're gonna have rail.
Because Arlington won't play nice.
Yeah, because Arlington won't play nice.
Yeah.
Another win, speaking of Arlington, is Rojo Mosquero is running for City Council District 4. That is one of my favorite people. And for him to get into local office it's like the perfect, because I think the strategy to doing all the things Junior said is to build your platform, your narrative,
Your
right
why.
in the municipal elections, and then you go big, kind of the same way Junior did it. Did city council for a little bit, then you jump to the state stuff. So the fact that Rojo, someone who led in Sunrise Tarrant, Tarrant Young Dems, I mean, Rojo is one of the kind of activist people that really have inspired me and seeing all the journey that he's done. And so awesome to see that he's now in the city council options.
Yep. He's got
Man.
some good energy. He's going to run a good campaign, and we should have him on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Young energy in Arlington.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So there's a group called Gateway Park Action Coalition that is championing having new improvements come to Gateway Park, a huge park that the city has had for forever that has definitely been underutilized and under-resourced and under infrastructured. And there's major plans for Gateway Park, and this organization is one of the ways that Fort Worth goes about trying to make sure that these things actually get implemented. So that's a win in my book.
I was asked to be on their board, and I went to the first meeting, and then I was like, guys, I think all the riffraff I do in Fort Worth is just going to mess you guys up. So CSIP weather, you got it.
Yep. One I was interested to see is the headline says, "Yard tools to your door. Fort Worth Mobile Shed loans equipment to residents for free." This is one of those rare times where city employees with proactive, interesting ideas actually got it through. They got it done. So Code Compliance had an extra trailer, and they were getting annoyed that people who, weren't mowing their lawns and they were getting fines and stuff. They're like, these people just need access to tools. So they converted this trailer into just a mobile shed so they can take it to neighborhoods and people will have free access to whatever they need to take care of their yards.
And I think this expanded on a program that started where they had the tool loaning, but not in a mobile way. And then this year, I think they added the mobile element. I think the new guy that's heading up Code, and I don't know his name, I apologize, but I think he came from Arlington. And I've seen him a couple of times before City Council at work sessions talking about activities and things that he would like to see happen. And I think it's interesting and cool to have a code enforcement, not just be enforcing, but also be helping people not get to a point where they're having violations and fines, but being able to take care of their property.
Exactly. I want to see more of this for more City Fort Worth employees.
I'm glad someone hadn't seen my house, because I might get a fine because I haven't mowed my lawn in a while.
I don't have a lawn anymore. I got rid of all my turf grass. All I have is native plants. I don't need to be having any mowing going on. Not that I ever did mowing myself.
I'm that house in the neighborhood where it's like, does anyone live there?
I mow my yard 4 times a year. My neighbor next door, they mow theirs every single week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, our grass looks the same. What are you doing?
Yeah. It's just a hobby. Some people need something to do.
Yeah.
They pay to do it. That's the thing.
All
That
right.
goes,
Wow.
I mean, good on those people for getting paid, but you're not doing nothing. Just don't and say you did. They're not going to tell the difference.
Oh, that's what happened with city contractors in mowing. They were just out there mowing dirt, and then people got mad, and now they have to take pictures of the work that they're actually doing.
Interesting. This one was yours.
Fort Worth Shelter's plans to improve canine euthanasias in 2026. There was a decline. I mean, I shared this on the Discord, but when you really look at it, it's something like 89-90% of dogs who are in our shelter end up finding a home, which is a higher level compared to it was in the 70s, low 70s at some points. But I think the real also important point for us to know is that 1,200 dogs, 1,300 dogs showed up in November. And so a 10% miss is still,
a lot of dogs.
A lot of dogs, thousands of dogs just in one city. So when you think about this, speaking of, we need policies. One policy I would have is that breeding is illegal in America. You should no longer be able to breed dogs in America because we're killing tens of thousands of dogs every month.
There's whole programs to fly these animals to other places where they can be adopted because we have such an abundance of them in this area. And I think part of it is the low regulation about spay and neuter and those sorts of things. And that's why we end up with dogs that don't have homes. And
big fine, sad. big, should not be,
nope.
Should not be allowed. Yeah. But and that's just, so it's a win and a loss. So I know we're getting into also our losses as well. DFW, one of the hardest areas for minimum wage workers to afford rent studies. Is this you? You found this one?
Yeah, this was a Star Telegram article, and the statistics don't look good. Like, a minimum wage employee has to work 80 hours a week just to pay for rent. in DFW.
Another loss we have here is Mayor Tadabishi had a press release. Wael Tadabishi, so Mayor Tadabishi is the caregiver of his oldest son. He got abducted by ICE. He's been there for over 50 days. Over the holidays, Wael Tadabishi has a disease that needs care 24/7, and he's now in the hospital for the second time and is continuing to be there for a long time. The family had a press release, and I just think like I am stressed out because we are literally dealing with life and death, and I would like everyone in Tarrant County, Arlington, Fort Worth to be much more proactive on not making this a big deal,
Acting like it's not happening to anybody we know.
Yeah, and being reactionary. And also, what's also is like, I'm glad that Star Telegram was there, but it's really important. This is one of those stories that Bradford Davis brought to our county's attention, and Bradford Davis is no longer reporting at Star Telegram, and they don't plan to have filled that gap. And so when you talk about journalists, these are the kind of stories that will get lost and not seen. And also shout out to all the activists, organizers that have been working with the family to do this press release. They had some great posters and signage. And I know they're doing a lot on social media to get it out there. So great job to them too.
Speaking about families that are impacted in Tarrant County, there's been yet another death in the Tarrant County Jail. So Tarrant County Jail inmate dies after being found unresponsive in her cell. So we're up into the 70s now. I know that not all the articles and coverage have been covering the exact number, and I apologize for not having the exact number, but I know that we're up over 70 now of people who have died in our Tarrant County Jail since Bill Wayborn has been in charge there. And I listened to a podcast recently that was talking about jail reform, and it touched on what's going on in Dallas County, and Judge Clay Jenkins is working on building a new jail over there that has very much a diversion center mentality.
Good.
And their whole goal is to not have the jail be the number one place where people are getting mental health or not getting mental health treatment, but need it.
Yep.
And that podcast touched on stuff happening in Dallas County, stuff happening down in Austin area, things happening in Houston, and somebody briefly mentioned Tarrant County, but it didn't seem like anybody was proactively collaborating on this kind of jail reform that is absolutely necessary in order to have these things stop happening.
And it's important that, this lady's was in there since August 3rd.
On like a theft.
Robbery.
Yeah.
Robbery charge.
So getting arrested for robbery and not being able to get out, it can be a death sentence, basically.
And not even this isn't even a sentence. This is
Yeah.
No,
awaiting
pending,
trial.
yes.
Yeah. So there's no. Yeah.
And the fact that, that's the scary machine there needs to be a whole podcast and infrastructure just on jails in Tarrant County. And there's people trying, but this is a big beast and very unfortunate news. Yep. Another big loss, and I know we've had such a good positive episode with Junior Ezeonu on and talking about the future of Fort Worth, but we talk about people not having their mom or their dad, but imagine not having your son or your daughter. We just had a 17 and a 19-year-old in North Rosedale killed by gun violence, and that's very unfortunate. It's just something that kudos to Deborah Peoples. She's looking to make an emergency summit around how do we get the community involved. I know Patrice Jones, Jazzy, and other kind of local community organizers is also kind of what are we doing to protect our young people. Fort Worth, kids, especially if you're a kid of color, you're more likely to deal with gun violence. You look at the state prison numbers of Tarrant County, those are black kids. 70% of them are black kids. Most of those kids are from Fort Worth, Texas. Those are some of the biggest losses as well, is how we continue to, have these things happen in a city that's growing this fast and has all this potential around it. Now, I know we just talked about a lot of hard stuff, and it seems like apathy is the answer, and we just deal with these big systems coming at us, but that is not the answer. The answer is when each of us take steps, when we have the privilege and freedom to take steps. As we turn in 2026, we talked about civic resolutions, right? My civic resolution is to read more, local journalism, is to show up to all 10 public comments, is to attend all the No Kings rallies, is to participate in the bridge brigades. So much of us can do things. And one thing we can do is participate in public comments. We have public comments coming up, but what we're doing is assessing in this public comments, how did Fort Worth do in 2025? And so with the turn of the new year, we're doing a Fort Worth City Council report card where you can grade your mayor, your city, and your city council member, your actual one, and give them an A, B, C, D, or F based off of key votes that happened in 2025, also key issues. So there's also like topics, affordability, inclusivity that you can also vote on. So that will be in a link in the bio. You also can see it on our social or on Discord. And then, Ann, I guess we're going to our first public comments.
January 6th is the first public comment of the year.
Yeah.
And that is already up for people to sign up to speak. And there's a variety of topics that you can speak on. One of them being this grading that we've put out on the various things that decisions have been made, important decisions in 2025.
Yep.
In hopes of having a better 2026.
January 6th at 6 p.m.
Yes, at the normal
2026.
time.
At the normal time, City Hall.
No tree lighting ceremony to mess everything up again.
And then on January 7th, we have the 817 Gather at the Table, which is our once a month get together in a more social setting where we're not doing a lot of work, but we're just building community and getting to know each other. We're planning to have these in the various council districts in Fort Worth, but since we also have some Arlington folks that have been involved, this first one is going to be in Arlington. So that'll be 6:30 on the 7th.
Yep.
We'll have our 817 Gather at the Table. And then our regular 817 Gather on January 18th at 10 a.m. So lots of opportunity to do things in the community and to be involved in this community.
Fitting something in there, you got January 13th, Tarrant County Commissioner's Court, which is a big one. It's going to be an important one. More details will come as I feel like there's direction. So the next episode, there'll probably be more details of what we can do. Maybe even by the time we look at the news, there'll be some short stories we'll be discussing. A lot around contracts with the jails and just different parts like that I can see potentially be coming up. There's also the People's Commissioner's Court. It's the week of the 20th of in January, but that's another one that's also going on. January 21st, you also have the start of Taylor Remmett early voting, and then January 31st is the election for Taylor Remmett. So we'll see how that goes. I know people are out block walking as we speak. All right, beautiful people, there you have it. Another episode of the 817 podcast, the start of 2026. It's only going to get juicier, better, and so are you because we're doing this together. Wesley, Ann, thank you for all you do. I missed y'all. I'm excited to have a great 2026 with you too.
Yep.